Hello, and welcome back to No Quarter Crusade. I am your host, Uxie, and today we are going to be discussing a couple of things that have been on my mind lately. I've been sort of thinking about this whole dichotomy between men and women. I think it's getting worse. I think the dating pool is going to get more and more gross. There's really no way getting around it because if everybody's so used to exposing themselves on the internet because women decided that they wanted to be liberated by showing off their breasts to old men for money, then we're going to quickly run out of ladies who haven't done that pretty quick, in short order. And your great-grandkid being born of a stripper, well, I would say the likelihood of that just keeps going up and up and up. An employee of the erotic persuasion. There's really no getting away around it other than if men take control back. When I say control, everybody shits their pants and freaks out and gets terrified, but they totally ignore the fact that they're perfectly fine with enforcing their own doctrines. They're totally fine with enforcing their own beliefs. You know, you can't throw a rock without hitting a pride flag on accident. They're everywhere. They're everywhere, okay? You guys have taken over everything. If someone were to question, not that I am, but if someone were to question if homosexuality is mutable, they would basically be publicly socially crucified. So I think that might have an influence on some of what's happening here. But the fact that everybody is so willing to go along with this without questioning their own presuppositions is very, very curious. It makes me wonder how these things actually come about in history, because there are all these different social uprisings and moments of social upheaval where people just get sick of whatever they're sick of and decide, I'm gonna pick up a weapon and go defend my homeland, defend the innocents in my homeland, or in some cases, to defend the evil. It's good to be watching out for this sort of social movement, for everybody to agree with something and be so disgusted by someone who disagrees with them. It's something worth looking out for and trying to avoid. What people don't understand is once the amygdala is activated and you start getting that disgust mechanism going, get to thinking they're less than human, it's a lot easier to take them out. This is something that I've been worried about also on the racial war front, because I noticed that there are a lot of people out there who are perfectly fine shitting on white people. They're perfectly fine with it. And then they cry about racism in the same breath. And it is insane to me. That's neither here nor there. But back to the main point. Someone is going to control our system. Someone is going to control the laws. Which side do you want that to be? Whenever I start pushing people to the logical conclusions of their ideas, they start to wiggle away, or they try to call me whatever. They'll call me all these different names because they can't actually contend with the argument. And instead of getting offended, I just dig deeper because I don't care. I mean, you know, I don't take personal offense to this. I've been called everything you can call a person, so I don't care anymore. It doesn't bother me. So I'll just keep digging, you know, and it's like this person will have a full-on mental breakdown when we're debating. Can you get control of yourself first, then approach this question? Because I don't think you're gonna have proper judgment right now when you're all angry and flustered. But that's the thing, is everybody's encouraged to be more emotional. And when you're trying to have a decent and substantive conversation about something deeper, say you're discussing something serious, the abortion pro-life question. So it's something serious. Both sides feel very strongly on either side of it. When it comes to these sorts of things, one side is going to win. There is no middling. If you're logically consistent and you're pro-choice, you have to be pro-choice up to 9 months. It's the logical conclusion. There is no sitting in the middle, because then you end up setting an arbitrary set point other than the already arbitrary set point you've already set. And then on the other hand, you have the pro-life, as they call it. This is really important to distinguish. Pro-lifers are actually pro-abortion. They won't tell you this outright, but you have to actually look at what they're doing and not what they're saying. Because pro-lifers actually codify into law the ability to have an abortion. All you have to do is say you're one of these exceptions. They're not against abortion. They're just for fewer abortions. That's pretty much out the window. That ends up middling. You're still pro-choice. You just want people to choose fewer abortions? Maybe? I don't know the logic anymore. It used to make sense once upon a time, the exceptions argument, but then again, we're talking about consistency now. And so to continue, on the other hand, we have the pro-life, real pro-life, which I guess now would be called an abolitionist, speaking to the fact that they would directly want to abolish abortion and punish people who do commit that act. Those people are logically consistent, and these are the logical conclusions of these ideas. And if you try to wiggle out of it, you can't, because then you end up setting a stupid ass arbitrary line on when a human being is a human being, when they matter, when they develop, when the life starts. Conception. It can't be conception because that's not what the word means. People think all kinds of crazy things, and people will convince themselves of all kinds of crazy things. One of those things is that a baby isn't a baby, and you can dispose of it if it's inconvenient for your life. I'm of the opinion, the logically consistent opinion, that no one should have the right to murder a child, seeing as how if a man wanted to keep the child and the woman didn't, the man doesn't have any right to stop her. Sounds to me like men don't have reproductive rights and women do, if you want to call reproductive rights the right to murder your child, which is what it is. And people hate hearing it, but it is true. That can be nothing other than a human being, like you and I. They say it's a clump of cells, so am I, so are you. That doesn't mean shit. We should be protecting life equally. And so I hope I cleared some things up for you today. I don't know if this was a boring video or if it was exciting, but why don't you drop a comment and let me know. Drop a like, drop a follow, subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you. And I hope you guys have a blessed day.